In my recent video, Batman v Superman, I Told You So, I proposed the idea that DC Comics films should be PG, PG-13, and focused on a family audience. And some viewers got a little upset with that proposal. Now, I'm going to talk about why I believe DC Comics films needs to focus on a PG, PG-13 family platform. When you look at the iconic characters of Batman and Superman, they were pretty much designed to be characters focused for children. They were designed to be children's characters. Back in the day when they made comic books, they were made to appeal to youngsters and teach them a sense of community and a sense of responsibility to community. That's what superheroes are. Batman feels a sense of obligation to the community in that he does not want anyone else to go through what he went through when his parents died. And Superman feels a sense of community because he's a good person who wants to do the right thing. And that's what these characters were designed to promote. But when you get to the Batman v Superman movie, you don't see any of those core values that those characters had on screen. In fact, the film pretty much tosses the core values and the mission of both characters into the garbage. But and they go into this hard, angry, graphically violent type film, and that's not good for the business of superheroes or the genre of superheroes. When it comes down to the genre of superheroes, you really want to again go for that family audience because that was the core root of what superheroes were made for. They were made for kids. They were made to promote values. They were made to promote ideas. And that was the core part of what comics are. They were part of promoting values and ideas and promoting family values and ideas. Um, and that's why the movies should be PG and PG-13 because that's what the root of the character is. It's a family-oriented character. Um, Superheroes have always been family-oriented. Batman and Superman are cultural icons to children, so it makes sense to put them in a PG or PG-13 movie. Now, a lot of comic fans think that a PG-13 film that would be family oriented would be dumbed down and silly. That's not the case at all. If you watched any of the Justice Leagues or the Batman the Animated Series by Bruce Timm or Batman Beyond or Superman the Animated Series, they get into some dark content, they get into some hard content. But they pretty much define what makes your characters like your Batman and Superman heroes is their adherence to their moral values and their core values. And that would be the primary focus of a PG-13 movie. Yes, you still can have your deaths. Yes, you can still have your violence, but you're going to have content that anyone can relate to. And the whole thing is that you have content that people feel safe taking children to. One of the things that made me cringe was hearing Ben Affleck saying that he couldn't take a 4-year-old to Batman v Superman. That's not good for the business of comic books, the business of superheroes, or the business of superhero films. Superhero movies should be for children. I should be able to take a child to go see Batman and Superman, who were designed for children, and not have a problem with it. That just should be a no brainer. It shouldn't be people feeling upset and nervous about taking a child to that type of movie. I mean, if I can take a child to go see Iron Man, Captain America, or the Avengers, then I should be able to take a child to see Batman and Superman. It just makes common sense. I mean, all these characters, again, they were designed for children. They were designed to appeal to children. They were designed to help children, again, understand a sense of community and to help them navigate the world that they live in. They were not designed to be allegorical characters for literature. They were not designed to be some sort of god or mythical character. No, they were not designed to be that at all. And if you can't take a kid to see a superhero movie, then there's something really wrong with America. I mean, I look at that and it's a sad statement. Um, Kids should feel safe going to a superhero movie. Kids should have content that's for them. If you want to make darker and harder edge characters, they should not be Batman and Superman. Instead, go make a darker and harder edge character, but leave these characters for the family audience. And the industry really needs these characters to remain family friendly because these characters are the gateway that new customers find superheroes. If a kid can't go to a superhero movie, then they're not going to feel comfortable going to a comic shop to go or Barnes and Noble to go buy a Batman or a Superman comic. And that's going to trickle down and hurt the business of superheroes and comic books overall. Because if kids don't feel comfortable with a character and parents don't feel comfortable with a character, they're not going to feel comfortable about sharing that character with their children. And they're not going to feel comfortable about sharing that character with their friends. A lot of people have these ideas that comic books and superheroes and the people who read comic books and like superheroes are antisocial, um, and that they are deviant. And when I look at a movie like Batman v Superman, it pretty much promotes those negative stereotypes regarding comic books and superheroes. It does not promote the medium in a positive light, and it does not promote the type of content that comics are in a positive light. Now, there are a whole spectrum of comics out there. There are superhero comics, there's mystery comics, there's adventure comics, and when it comes down to superhero comics, yes, they are the most popular genre, but they really need to present a more positive picture to the world. I mean, we've got the comic industry itself has been in a slump for over 22 years, and they need all the help they can get to get people start reading comics again. And I see Warner Brothers as one of the own worst enemies of the comic book world because they keep trying to promote these archaic 1980s grim and gritty type stories when we're in the middle of a baby boom. And during a baby boom, like we had in the 1940s after World War II, you really want to try to target the child audience because the child audience is one of the biggest audiences, and especially when it comes down to movies. And the money you make is going to be bigger than that you would with these grim and gritty older comic fans, who many are in the median age of 40 and are pretty much, as many business people would tell you, they're starting to age out. You want customers who are going to grow with the product, and the younger you get the customers, the longer they're going to stay with the product. Usually, when it comes on the comics, you will get a customer who will start maybe at 7 or 8, and they'll stay in some cases up until they're 18 years old, and some of them won't leave the hobby at all. And when you have product that's targeted at older customers, you're not going to have customers growing with the product. Yes, they're gonna stay with the product, but they're not gonna grow and progress with the product. They're not going to recognize it as a brand. They're not going to stay with it long enough to form that relationship like a lot of the younger customers would. And that's why a lot of companies like your Pixars and your Disneys target younger audiences with PG and PG-13 films and even G-rated films because people grow up with those films. They watch those films um, even into their adulthood. I've seen people who have watched Disney movies, like myself. I've watched Disney movies when I was a little kid, and I went out and then bought the DVD later on to watch it again. And that's the type of customer you think Warner Brothers would be trying to target or trying to develop, but they believe that harder and grittier material is going to sell. I don't believe that this is a good long-term strategy. I've always believed that the PG-13 is the most successful because I look at Disney, I look at Pixar, I look at WWE. All of them adopted a PG-13 approach, and they watched their business grow. Warner Brothers, I believe, is shooting themselves in the foot by taking the DC Comics superhero brand in this direction. And this is a bad direction overall because, you really don't want to go into the hard R category again because the audience just isn't really there. Yes, Deadpool made some money, but I look at it this way: the really big money is summertime, and it's the kids. And I really think DC missed an opportunity, and Warner Bros. Missed an opportunity to make a great Batman Superman movie, the kind of movie that would sell well on DVD, sell well with streaming, and continually be watched every year in syndication. Had they made that family friendly movie, they would have pretty much had the type of film that would allow them to lay the foundation to compete with Marvel Studios and start rebuilding the reputation of the DC Comics brand with a new generation, instead of struggling to deal with a split audience that feels that one side feels alienated and the other side doesn't feel like it's getting the best. I look at this picture with DC, and it looks like a disjointed, directionless company that really needs a new vision, especially with its publishing and its films. Because if this is the type of product they're going to produce, I don't see them being able to compete long term, and I don't see them being able to really keep their characters relevant and relatable to not only today's audience, but the next generation's audience. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.